a group of young military officers led by Lieutenant Colonel Buka Suka Dimka brutally murdered Nigeria's head of state in an ill-fated coup attempt. Buka Suka Dimka was of the Nigerian Military Physical Training Corps, and he attempted to overthrow the General Mohammed administration in Nigeria. The coup was eventually foiled by government troops assembled by the army chief, General T.Y. Danjuma. But Lieutenant Colonel Dinka and his men succeeded in assassinating the head of the federal military government, General Mohammed, his ADC, Lieutenant Akintunde Akinsehiwa, his orderly, his driver, and the military governor of Kwara State, Colonel Ibrahim Taiwo. The Chief of Staff Supreme Headquarters, who was the country's then de facto vice president, General Olusegun Obasanjo, succeeded General Mohammed and became the new head of state. Later, 38 army officers and men, including a civilian broadcaster, were tried and executed by firing squad in the first round of executions. Another round followed some weeks later. Although the new General Obasanjo regime pledged to continue along the footsteps of General Mohammed, the Dinka coup had lasting military and non-military, judicial, domestic, and foreign policy effects. It was the first time since the execution of Colonel Victor Banjo, Major Emmanuel Ifeajuna, Philip Alele, and Samad Bamuchi on the 25th of September 1967 by Colonel Dumegu Ojuku's secessionist government that anyone was being executed for that alleged offense within Nigeria's colonial borders. It led to the promulgation by the Obasanjo regime of certain retrospective decrees which made concealment of trees in an offense punishable with a life sentence. The regime created new special military tribunal laws justifying mass executions for coup participation, which have remained with us until the recent initiative in the legislature. Yes, not a beautiful day at all. Yes, not a beautiful day at all. But we've gotten other stories, emanating from other sources that coup wanted to be hijacked. Yeah, if you read this book, you can look for the book. I believe you can get it at Rampam Street. Those magical bookkeepers there, those guys are magicians. As I've always told you, you can get the book there. The Tragedy of Victory. The Tragedy of Victory by Brigadier General Godwin Alabi Isama. In that book, Alabi Isama said he was the only one amongst the top military officers at that time that had full command of troops within the Lagos area. And he wanted to counter the coup that brought in Murtala Mohammed to power. But Mohammed sent then Colonel Muhammadu Buhari to persuade him to calm down, as Gowon had already given up and he was not coming back to the country at that time. And they now tried to involve him in government, and he was there with them when the Dinka coup took shape. And that he himself and Brigadier General Alani Akirina, they both insisted, and that they told T.Y. Danjuma that the right thing must be done, that they were not going to sit and fold their arms to allow the coup to be hijacked. That since the head of state had been assassinated, the second man in government, who was the then Chief of Staff Supreme Headquarters, who naturally is a de facto vice president, should take over. That he insisted that he saw it. It was quite clear that Colonel Ibrahim Babangida and Major General T.Y. Danjuma at the time wanted to hijack the coup and take over power. And they were even discussing in Hausa, forgetting that he himself could hear Hausa, could understand Hausa very well. And at the time, they discovered that Labi someone could understand Hausa. It was late for them. And he told them vehemently that the coup must not be hijacked. That he was not going to sit down and fold his arms and allow them hijack the coup, that they must do the right thing. Obasanjo should be made head of state. But T.Y. Danjuma in another story, in another account, said he was the one that persuaded Obasanjo to become head of state. That Obasanjo never wanted to be. That he persuaded Obasanjo and he supported Obasanjo to the last minute to ensure that he was made head of state. So there are different stories coming from different quarter. So, but if you want to read Alabi Isama's book, you can get it. You can get the hardcover. The Tragedy of Victory. That's the title of that book. Tragedy of Victory. Alabi Isama said that was not true. And that it was still Alabi Isama who gave his bikes, one of his bikes, he asked one of his bike boys to convey Colonel Ibrahim Babangida to the radio house to persuade Colonel Dinka to surrender. So the stories are here and there. You can also read Obasanjo's book, Not My Will. Yes, the hardcover is there, Not My Will. And you can't get these books, if you can't get them from the bookshop and you want to read them online, it's still very possible. The Tragedy of Victory and Not My Will, you can get them at udarabooks.com. You can get them at udarabooks.com. Even on Amazon, you can still find these books. Then you study them and read them so that you know where we are coming from. The number to call is 080 6464 1536. The number again, 080 6464 1536. For those of you who had the issues to grind with me yesterday and we couldn't take your call, we really want to apologize again. But you can call this morning and let's do business together. Yesterday we're saying something. The man, Murtala Mohammed. Yes, and Comrade Steve Aluko tried to analyze Murtala the way he understood him. But the bottom line is that he supported Murtala wholeheartedly. Steve Aluko supported Murtala wholeheartedly, but there are some others who have a different perspective on the man. So we are going to say the little that we know about him. We've heard stories that Murtala is not truly a Northerner. Some said he is originally from Plateau State, Ibiron by tribe. Some others said he's from Akoko Edo. But all these stories have never been substantiated. Officially, he's from Kano State. He was from Kano State because he's no longer alive. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, I'm calling from Longwa.
Okay, this one you have forgotten your Angwana. Wow.
Hello.
Your name, sir?
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name?
My name is David.
Okay, welcome to the show. Your contribution.
Well, I just want to get that book, Strategy of Victory.
The Tragedy of Victory. You can go to Rampam Street. You can get the hardcover. Then, if you want to read online, you can go look at udarabooks.com.
Okay.
udarabooks.com.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. The number to call 080 6464 1536. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. You're welcome.
James calling from Boko.
Okay, you're welcome. Your contribution, please.
My own is a question, sir. Mr. Ferdinand.
Okay.
About the president of Russia. I don't know which religion is. I want to know.
That's Vladimir Putin.
Russia president.
Okay, no problem. We'll try our best to look at your demands. He says he wants to know what religion. Because sometimes someone seems like demand they do say a person need to ask question. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. How it works?
Work is fine. We are doing it.
I want to know if my constant calling, you've been able to note my voice.
You said what?
Okay,
You said this is your first time? Hello, sir?
This is his first time calling and he doesn't know if you can know his voice.
Okay, you can call again. Call again so that we can possibly do business together. The number to call is 080-6464-1536. That's the number to call. You can call to make a contribution. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Ferdinand. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Are you Garba from Otoncon Street?
Yeah, it's me actually. I just called. It's something just came into my mind, and then I said, let me call you.
Okay.
Mr. Ferdinand, since 1952 to 1953 census crisis, we've never had a true national census, and I don't think we are going to have a true national census in this country because the controversy surrounding the census, the head count. Based on one region, you see the other region as more. If you see all these things, we must tell ourselves the truth. You see, history has shown that okay, census has never been true in this country based on the previous experience. So I don't know when are we going to have a true national census. When we have seen the late president, former late president Muhammadu Buhari, mark humongous amount of money for census to be. We know the whereabouts of those monies. They have been stolen and then stashed into foreign accounts, or I don't know this country where we actually heading to. And then going further again, I want to commend you for bringing a senior comrade within the struggles, Comrade Steve Aluko.
Yeah.
Yes, who has actually done excellently well, and then by analyzing the Nigerian issues that affect Nigeria, right and right from time immemorial till this. I think that is highly commendable. I thank you very much for that. That's just my little contribution for this morning.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks a lot for calling. That was comrade Aliu Garba. Yes, making his contribution there. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, I'm calling back. Inca, that property, JD Gomo. If you remember, he was,
Yes.
He suffered from the coup, which up to today, even the investigations on the things that were done, there was no clear evidence to prove that he actually participated. But at that time, because he was just coming. So anybody, in fact, not just only the industry suffered. A lot of platoonians, people that are from platoons, suffered, discrimination in the military because of that particular. I even grew up hating Obasanjo because I read the book, the account that I read I was in JS2, that was when I read the account of that, and I saw the picture of Bisala and Gomok and all of them when they were killed on so it painted a picture in my mind. I pictured Obasanjo, I said he's the one that meant so. But anything, what that tells us is that whatever you do, you better know that it has a repercussion.
Exactly.
It has consequences, not just to you directly, but it could, grow. Because I tell you, in my village, many times people said that time, soldiers would just come into the village looking for Dinka. You see, they will brutalize people, all because of somebody did something far away in Lagos.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Hello.
Please, you can call back so we can understand each other. Please, you can call back so we can understand each other. The number to call is 0806. A lot of these officers were very young at that point in time. A lot of these officers were very young at that point in time, and they were making decisions at the spur of the moment. Carrying out decisions. I've heard interviews. Some officers were very, very remorseful for their part in coups, particularly the July 29 coup of 1966. Certain officers were interviewed and they were very remorseful.
Yes, actually, there was a coup, but there was a coup inside the coup. What I'm trying to say is that those people that were convicted and they were sentenced, and the sentence were actually carried out, had it been those people were given a better trial and then given a chance, they would have become the best leader in Africa. You were just saying that they were young, potential men coming up. That's my only contribution, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the contribution. So, as you heard there, the Dinka coup had lasting legal and political implication, you know, particularly when it comes to military laws, because those decrees that were enacted in 1976 were later used also during the trial of Mamanjia Vatsa and uh, over 80 others who were arrested for Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Major
Hello?
General Mamanjia Vatsa. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, Ferdinand. My name is Onyem. I'm calling from Russia.
Okay, okay. Carry on, please.
Okay. Last time, I remember those days when you used to give us news about a South African woman that was shot by her boyfriend. I think it was in February.
Okay.
River Tinkham or River Tinkham.
Okay, Rivers Camp on Valentine's Day
Yes.
in 2013.
Yeah.
And Oscar Pistorius, that is the Blade Runner. Yeah.
Yes. Even if I went to jail and after some time he came out, since then we've not heard anything about the guy. He was also a Paralympian. The guy. He was a medalist, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. If we have time today, we are going to give you a roundup on that story. That is the Oscar Pistorius Rivers. I think he's out of prison now. But if we can't do it today, we'll do it next week.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so now we're talking about the man, Murtala Mohammed. Yes, though he was executed in the early morning hours of 13 February 1976. But now let's look at him again. Murtala Ramat Mohammed, GCFR, was a Nigerian military officer and the fourth head of state of Nigeria. He led the 1966 Nigeria counter coup, the one they called the rematch or revenge coup, in overthrowing the military regime of Major General Johnson Thomas Agui Umunake Ironsi, and featured prominently during the Nigeria Civil War, and thereafter ruled Nigeria from July 29, 1975 until his assassination on 13 February 1976. This period in Nigeria history, from the northern counter-coup victory to Murtala's death, is commonly associated with the institutionalization of the military in Nigerian politics. Born in Kanu to a native Hausa parents, Mohammed Riskua and Uwani Ramatu from Kanu State, Murtala served in the Nigerian Army as a cadet in the Royal Military Academy in Sandhurst. He later served in Congo, eventually rose through the ranks to become a brigadier general in 1971, aged 33, becoming one of the youngest generals in the Nigerian Army at the time. 3 years later, Murtala became the Federal Commissioner for Communications in Lagos. As a conservative and federalist, Murtala regretted the overthrow of the First Republic and the promulgation of Agui Ironsi's Unification Decree number 34 of 1966. He was devastated by the assassination of Sir Ahmadu Bello and for a time seriously considered the secession of northern Nigeria. As a matter of fact, it must be on record here that the July 29 coup, the mutiny by northern officers, was to secede Nigeria, and the prelude to that coup was the Araba riot, which broke out on the 29th of May 1966 in Kaduna and spread all over northern Nigeria. It was a bloody moment and a bloody period in Nigeria's history, and it was a complete retribution to the January 15, 1966 military rebellion, where officers and civilians, mostly from northern Nigeria and the Yoruba extraction, were murdered. People say Igbos were not killed, but one Igbo officer was killed in January. That was Lieutenant Colonel Ato Chinyelu Unegbe. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello? Okay, we've lost that. Please, you can call again. As I told you, he was devastated by the assassination of Sir Ahmadu Bello and for time closely considered the secession of northern Nigeria. His career redoubled after taking Ferdinand Zogu and the young
Hello, good
majors.
morning.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Oh,
Okay, the number to call is 08064641536. His career, Murtala's career, redoubled after Chukwuma Ferdinand Zogu and the young majors orchestrated the first military rebellion in Nigeria of 1966, empowering him to lead the mutiny of the night of 29 July 1966 in Abeokuta. Murtala was briefly considered as supreme commander before the appointment of Yakubu Gowon. Can you hear that? Nice. In those days of struggles, those few days of confusion here and there, what's going to happen? Who is going to be the head of state? Yeah, who will be our leader? Murtala was considered briefly as head of state by those who organized that mutiny of July 29, 1966. That between July 29 and 1st of August. But General Yakubu Gowon, being a perfect gentleman, was placed at a vantage position, and most of the soldiers from the Middle Belt, who took part in that coup wanted Gowon rather than Murtala Mohammed. I think he had this ambience, he had this kind of personality that was accepted worldwide. The British Council, the American Council, all accepted Gowon. And Gowon, who was never part of the coup, became the head of state on the 1st of August 1966. He was a very, very young man, a 31-year-old lieutenant colonel from the army headquarters. He was the chief of army staff, and he became head of state. The second man, let me repeat this, the second man in government after Ironsi's assassination was Brigadier General Babafemi Ogundipe, who was the chief of staff supreme headquarters. He naturally should have filled that position, but northern troops were not taking orders from him. And rather, to embarrass himself, he decided to jettison Nigeria and left for the United Kingdom, where Gowon had to ratify his position as the head of the Nigeria's High Commission in London. Murtala was briefly considered as supreme commander before the appointment of Yakubu Gowon. During the war, he commanded Nigeria's 2nd Infantry Division, which committed the Asaba massacre and was responsible for the death of civilians and many of the rebels. 3 years later, the federal military government declared victory, which bolstered Murtala's image over Nigeria, and in particular at the north, as a military leader through the post-war era of reconciliation, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. In post-Civil War Nigeria, Murtala Mohammed ruled with more power than any Nigerian leader before or since, and developed a charismatic authority and cult of personality. During the Cold War, he maintained Nigerian neutrality through participation in the non-aligned movement, but supported the Soviet Union during the latter's efforts in the Angolan Civil War. This support is better understood within the context of the liberation of African countries from colonialism than as support for the Soviet Union. At the same time, his regime transitioned from being authoritarian into consensus decision making, with Murtala the leader of a military triumvirate, alongside generals Olusegun Obasanjo and Theophilus Danjuma. The dictatorship softened, and Murtala unveiled plans for the demilitarization of politics. In 1976, barely 7 months into his nascent rule, Murtala, without having time to see his plans implemented, was assassinated in a failed coup d'etat, being succeeded by Olusegun Obasanjo as head of state, who in turn led the Nigerian transition to democracy with the Second Nigerian Republic. The legacy of Murtala Mohammed in Nigerian history remains controversial, as the nature of his rule changed over time. His reign was marked by both brutal repression and economic prosperity, which greatly improved the quality of life in Nigeria.
hello.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling
Hello.
from?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm calling back again to ask a question. This is Kay.
Okay, Kay, you're welcome.
Growing up, there are certain things we heard, and I needed, if it can be confirmed or not. One of the things I heard was Inta's capture. Inta's capture, there's an account I read very early that said he handed over himself. He was not captured per se, but when
that's the true account.
Roadblock, he handed over himself.
That's the true account.
We were told that actually it was because of our people were saying that he felt that the way his people were being maltreated, so he decided to hand himself over by himself. While other accounts said, he was captured, not that he handed over. I heard people say that also. And then secondly, also, the other question I have is how was there really an embargo placed on people from the plateau, from the middle belt extraction to rise above certain rank in the military? Because I've heard that, though not directly from a book, but public opinion, that says that because of Murtala's Sukadinka's coup, that there was a certain embargo that was placed on people, especially from Plateau State, that they will never rise over a certain level at that point, especially people from his tribe in the military, that it was silent and all that. So I want you to just maybe confirm or, resolve that assertion.
But that's not true. That's not true at all. William Malby rose to the rank of colonel before he voluntarily left the army in 1979. Domkad Bali rose to the rank of general. As a matter of fact, he was the most senior member of the group that led the coup against Shehu Usman Shagari in 1983. So there are several other officers. Lots of them rose to the rank of general. Jonah Jang rose to the rank of, if you want to convert it to the army, brigadier general in the Nigerian army, in the Air Force before he left. Then there was Jetu Seni. He rose to the rank of lieutenant general. So what are we talking about? Joshua Dogoyaro, a lot of them. As a matter of fact, Joshua Dogoyaro announced the coup that brought in General Ibrahim Babangida to power. Plateau still has a lot of generals on parade today. So let us look between 1976 and 1985. There's no state in Nigeria that had generals like Plateau State and had military officers like Plateau State. So I think that was just uncalculated public opinion. If you want to look at it, let's look at it realistically. So Murtala Mohammed's dictatorial style proved highly adaptable, which enabled wide-ranging social and economic reform, while consistent pursuits during his reign centered on highly centralized government, authoritarianism, federalism, national federalism, and Pan-Africanism. Yes. And during his period, and the period of Gowon, the early 70s, between 1973 and 1978, I will always tell you, Nigeria was one of the richest nations in the world. Quote me anywhere. Quote me. You can quote me anywhere. I don't just know what was wrong. I don't know what was happening. That our resources are not really channeled to absolute control of the minerals. That the control is from the federal government in Abuja. So I don't understand. So if you had to come back to resource control for free, Plateau will be greater than the way it is now, because money dey for ground. Plenty money dey ground. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, Region 93.
Your name and where you're calling from? Please, you can call. The call is 00646415336. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello? Please, you can call back. So that we can do business together. Hello?
Morning.
Yeah, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, this is Stephen Mojampulu from National Consult.
Okay, you're welcome to the show. Your contribution.
Yeah, I think Nigeria is a country that is rich in resources but poor in leadership.
Why? Because what the human are.
I know you said what?
Pardon?
We are listening. We are with you.
Yeah, I said, God have blessed us both with the human and material resources.
Exactly.
The problem is leadership problem. Because we don't have leaders that have vision, we don't have the leaders that have the interest of the people. So how can someone be more richer than the state? So if leaders have vision, I think they can be able to make use of material that God has blessed us.
Thank you very much.
Plateau State is a state that have what? In terms of tourism, agriculture, and mineral resources. But still, we still have leadership problems. I don't mean that we can capitalize on our comparative advantage.
We'll go further. Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks a lot for your contribution. You reminded me something now. He said, how can more man be richer than the state? But it happened in DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, that naturally should be the richest nation in the world. At the time, its leader, Mobutu Sese Seko, was loaning the country money to pay salaries. You know, so that's how wild we were. His son, Sese Seko's first son, was traveling by private jet from Kinshasa to Paris to receive lectures every day. You know how much is that? You know how much is that? So African leaders are very funny. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello?
Your name and where you're calling from? Good morning.
Okay, I don't know if they are listening to me because I am not getting feedback. But, well, my question is this. We are full of resources. Okay, my name is Yusuf. I'm calling from just south here.
Okay, Yusuf, you're welcome.
Is, we are full of resources. We brag about it on social media. We tell everybody around the world we're full of resources. We even tell some people coming as foreigners, like, we tell them they are coming, all they're going to come and do in our state is just come and pack out our minerals and stuff like that. So why? I don't know. Is it like we cannot afford what it takes to harness these mineral resources to these people that are coming to take from us to go and do something with it out there? What are they doing out there? Like, how is it the knowledge to manufacture or to process it? Is it like we cannot access those knowledge, or we cannot access, we are not going to be able to afford the machinery or the factories? I just don't know. Why don't we harness these resources here in Nigeria? Like, I just don't know. Everybody, any rich person that just got the future, to just wake up one day and begin to use healing stations and other stuff like that. But to harness, get something like, even if it is not going to be government, even if it is in the private sector, there are a lot of people who have a lot of money. Why don't they like think for once? These people that are coming, they are making a whole lot of money from this. So I just don't know. I don't know what is going to be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for your contribution. Now we'll be going international. Let's look at international event. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, Mr. Ferdinand.
Yeah, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Ferdinand. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. We can hear you. Okay, we can hear you.
In this country, now the government is saying they will look into it. Tell me, now it's not to Libya. We saw what happened in Gaza.
Yes.
Saddam Hussein, son, was what? Killed inside station. Is that Africa?
That's Muammar Gaddafi, not Saddam
Before we
Hussein.
come back to Nigeria.
Yeah.
What is happening now in the continent is in history, is something that people sitting down, compare about politics, should be very, very careful in Nigeria, so that we're very careful. We do the news for against it, so that tomorrow nobody will blame one another. Good morning.
Good morning, Mazi. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. On 13th of February in 2017, Kim Jong-nam, elder brother to North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, was assassinated at Kuala Lumpur International Airport, allegedly from the orders of his younger brother. Kim Jong-nam was the eldest son of North Korean leader Kim Jong-il from roughly 1994 to 2001. He was considered the heir apparent to his father. He was thought to have fallen out of favor after embarrassing the regime in 2001 with a failed attempt to visit Tokyo Disneyland with a false passport. Although Kim himself said, now let's look at the 14th of February, St. Valentine. Now let's look at the 14th of February, St. Valentine's Day. Yes, they call it the Lover's Day. Hello, good morning.
Good
Your
morning,
name?
Mr. Ferdinand.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you very much. This is Adewumi calling you from Bochiro.
Adeomi, welcome to the show. Your
Thank
contribution.
you very much. God continue to bless you and
Amen.
give us wisdom. You see, my contribution talking about the issue of coup and even the history you are giving us. Even many of us are not born then. But even up to now, we are still suffering the consequences of those coup actions.
Exactly.
You understand? You see, the major problem is this. The military back then, they are supposed to even protect the Nigerian government, are busy even being the ones to even begin to plan coup and a lot of bloodshed in the country. And they are going to see to ensure that there is issue to fight ethnic fight, corruption. Even up to now, as the corruption stops, things are working off. You understand? So we are hoping to see. That's why we always say the best military, the best the world democracy is
It's better than the best military. Exactly. I agree with you.
Because honestly speaking, I don't see what we have gained so much, even under the military era. If we have united ourselves to see a nation where the people voice and people can hold leaders accountable, I think Nigeria wouldn't be where we are today. And as you talk about Plateau State, a lot of things to take home from Plateau State. We must begin to do things rightly, begin to unite ourselves. Without unity, because you always give us information, but the major thing there is just for us to come together as a nation. What have we gained with the Biafra? What have we gained with the military rule for over years? So let our leaders
Nothing.
begin to prioritize the welfare of Nigerians and do the needful. Thank you, and God continue to bless you for your good work.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. The military has consistently said they are ready and they are willing and they have been doing it to be under civil authority. That is how it is in a true democratic setting. And I think the Nigerian military are now truly professional. If you want to consider the ways of the military now and the ways of the military yesterday, I think the military are beginning to get themselves reformed and they are truly serving the society and working under civil instructions. And that is how it's supposed to be naturally. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Okay, we've lost that. The number to call is 08064641536. Hello, good morning. Hello? Okay. On 14th of February 1929, in what is today known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, occurred following massive disagreement by Chicago mob group in the United States of America. 7 people, 6 of them gangster rivals of Al Capone's gang, were brutally murdered. The massacre resulted from the struggle between the Irish American gang and the Southside Italian gang led by Al Capone to take control of organized crime in the city. Former members of the Egon Rats gangs were suspected of a significant role in the incident, assisting Capone. Some of the shooters wore police uniforms, but when real Chicago police officers arrived at the scene, one of the victims, Frank Gusenberg, was still alive. He was taken to the hospital where doctors stabilized him for a short time. Police, let me let you know that these are the 2 most recognizable rivals in boxing history. Sugar Ray Robinson, sorry to say. Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta. Yes, they had a historic boxing rivalry, fighting each other on 6 separate occasions between 1942 and 1951. Robinson won 5 series against 1, although many of the fights were close, with LaMotta handing Robinson his first ever loss, which remained his only loss for nearly a decade. The most famous of their encounter was their 6th and final fight, a world middleweight title match later dubbed the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, due to its brutality, with the champion LaMotta taking tremendous punishment from Robinson, taking punishment in the later rounds. The man whose back never touched the ground, Jake LaMotta. If you watch those bouts, you know how brutal boxing used to be in those days. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Oh, we've lost that again. I think we can still take some more calls. We have 4 minutes left to take calls. 080-6464-1536. Well, we'll talk about the St. Valentine's Day Massacres boxing version next week. And someone just reminded us about River Steenkamp and his boyfriend, Oscar Pistorius. We'll talk about that next week. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello? Okay. On the 15th of February, 1972, Jose Ibarra was overthrown from his position as president of Ecuador. Yes, and on the 15th of February 1961, the entire United States national team died in an ill-fated plane crash in Belgium. Savannah Flight 548 crashed in Belgium and killed all 73 people on board, including the entire United States figure skating team, along with several of their coaches and family members. The US figure skating team were on their way to the World Figure Skating Championship in Prague, in Czechoslovakia. The flight originated from John F. Kennedy International Airport and crashed on approach to Brussels Zaventem Airport. The crash was the first fatal accident involving a Boeing 747 in regular passenger service 28 months after it was placed into commercial use. It is also the deadliest plane crash to occur on Belgian soil to date. All 18 athletes of the 1961 United States figure skating team and 16 family members, coaches, and officials were among the fatalities. The dead included 9-time U.S. ladies champion turned coach Maribel Vincent Owen and her 2 daughters, reigning U.S. ladies champion Lauren Owen, who was age 16 at the time, and reigning U.S. pairs champion Maribel Owen, aged 20. The team also lost U.S. men's silver medalist Gregory Keller, U.S. ladies silver medalist Stephanie Westerfield, and U.S. ladies bronze medalist Rodley Mickelson. Yeah, we don't have much to say. Let's just leave and for other times. Let's leave the rest of the story we have now for next week. But on the 16th of February 1959, Fidel Castro became the Prime Minister of Cuba. Fidel Castro, I won't forget that name in the order. Remember, the United States tried. They tried everything they could to remove him, but they couldn't. Even orchestrating a false flag attempt to get support from the US public to launch an attack on Cuba, which President John F. Kennedy refused to guarantee.